Good evening and welcome to tonight's show from DJNTV, Disc Jockey News TV. Tonight's show is brought to you by Electra Voice, DJ Event Planner, DJ Trivia, Odyssey Innovative Designs and Cases, NLFX Professional, Promo Only, and the DJNTV Insiders. And welcome to DJNTV tonight. Tonight is Wednesday night. That means it's Jerry Bazata time. Jerry, good evening, and thanks for joining me.
Hey, John. Thank you for having me. So,
Jerry,
we're on a roll here.
I know we're on a roll here, and we're gonna keep talking about this and to help those of you who have questions and such and concerns, talking about the business side of it and the finances and such, because Jerry's coming to us from that loan professional experience at the bank. It's been another crazy week, Jerry.
Yep. So let's kind of backtrack. Last week we talked about the different programs that were out there.
Yes.
Friday the floodgates opened up, and that's when people could start submitting their applications under the payroll protection program. And let's just say it has been a tidal wave. It has been a tsunami. And we've seen a lot of applications coming in. Just before we went on air, I looked at where our count was. My small little bank, we have gotten 600 applications in our processing queue right now. So we're doing our best. I know that people are out there applying for the disaster relief, the emergency fund. Everybody's out there looking for some support and some help in terms of working capital. And I just need to say to everybody out there, take a deep breath. This is absolutely the biggest volume of loans the banking industry has ever seen. Numbers are coming in from Bank of America at 200,000 plus applications. Citizens Bank, significant number of applications. Even the smaller community banks are seeing volumes of loan applications they've never seen before. So I just ask everybody out there for their patience. We came from a society where you and I know we could go online, apply for a loan, and within 30 seconds we get approved. And
right.
This is not one of those situations. And that's what I need to make clear to people is this is not a situation where you send in a 2-page application and somebody's at the other end of that email ready to put it into the system. I was at the office on Monday night until 10 o'clock at night, just putting 50 alone through myself. Verifying the information, making sure it's correct. And so what I'd like to do is kind of share a couple of things and a couple of thoughts.
Yeah.
Number one, what I want the community to understand, those DJs, those professionals that are out there, all of you that are employed or have salaried employees and you're going through these programs, you have to make sure the applications are correct. Take a moment to read them. If you're filling out the payroll protection program, the two biggest areas that are kicking back applications is questions number 5 and 6 that ask about if you've ever been convicted of a crime, if you've ever defaulted. It's not so much just to check the box yes or no, but you need to initial that you, in fact, answer the question. And that's the biggest kickback I see. The other piece of it is the number that you put on the application for what you're applying for does not match what people are doing when they're showing how they're arriving at that number. So we're kicking that back. Incomplete or illegible documents that they're getting from their CPAs being cut off because they're trying to scan. Number one, do not take a picture with your phone. Don't send us JPEG pictures. We can't work with them. Every computer reads it differently. Every computer looks at it differently. I've had to kick back 4 applications because they took JPEG pictures. It has to be scanned. It's got to be in a PDF file. So certainly take the time, whether you can do it at home with your own printer scanner, or you have a friend or another business associate that can scan it in for you and then email it to the banks. That's what's going to get the applications faster. Also, include all your information in one email or one submission. If you do multiple pieces along the line, something's going to get lost,
Yes.
especially with the volume that's going through. Don't send me, one email at 10 o'clock and then send me another one at 4 o'clock, because between 10 o'clock and 4 o'clock, I've gotten another 150 emails and I'm not going to be able to rematch that stuff up. So my clients have been great. We actually gave them a spreadsheet to fill out so that they knew they could actually show us how they arrived at the information. Attached all the documents, and those, in a case where I got one email with all the attachments, the spreadsheet to prove out their number, the complete application with every box filled in, signed, dated. It took me about 15 minutes, and I was able to get it into the review queue to be inputted into SBA.
Much quicker when you have everything and all. Yeah, it's a much quicker process. So for the people, how long does it take for them if they are just starting to and they want to apply for some sort of an SBA loan? How long do you think it takes for them to prepare their documents to be able to submit to someone like yourself?
I'm finding on average people are spending about an hour to 2 hours preparing the documents.
Okay.
And a lot of it's your tax records. So it's your 941s, it's your tax returns, it's payroll records. And the payroll companies, the CPAs are all working hard. They know what the banks are looking for. So a lot of times, if you're not sure, call up your bookkeeper, call up your CPA. A lot of them are saying, yep, I know exactly what you want here. I'm going to send it to you. And I'm getting a lot of that out there already. So, it's not a painstaking effort if you're organized and you're sending it to us complete and with the documentation that needs to be there.
Yeah, I would have guessed it would have just taken a bit longer, but that was one of the feedback from one of our local people that I was talking to, saying it's like, wow, I was really surprised. It was what the application was just a front and back, and then needing additional forms compared to more of a book. Jerry, I heard them talking this week about a grant that is available once they have applied for some sort of loan. Can you kind of elaborate about what they were talking about?
There's two pieces to it. The payroll protection program is a grant program. The emergency relief, which is again working capital, can be forgivable up to $10,000. So both of those are grant portions of the SBA. The disaster relief one, which is the one that most people ran to, that is strictly a loan that is paid over 10 years. We're still getting some more information on how the emergency declaration fund will be forgivable, and we're getting more information on that. But again, that is going to be up to $10,000 of that loan that is granted to you will be forgivable. And of course, under the payroll protection program, which is really designed to keep your employees employed and off of unemployment, that will be forgivable if you in fact use the money for payroll. Now, I need to be clear because there was a change that was made on Friday with the payroll protection program. Let's say you apply for $100,000, all right? 75,000 of that 100,000 has to be used for payroll in order for it to be forgivable. The remaining 25,000 can be used to pay interest costs on your mortgage, not for a home business. If you have a mortgage on a business location, interest on your loans and utilities for that business location. If you don't meet that 75% threshold, you may not get the full forgiveness on the loan. So I need to be clear, because some people are thinking, well, I'm going to apply for this and I'm going to use it all towards my mortgage and my insurance and my utilities. And that's not the case. To have it forgivable, it's got to be used to pay employees. That's the main thing to take away from it.
So now, does that include or still have that? Was it June 30th number on it, where you had to basically have the same staff or the same level of employment June 30th as you did prior to?
Right, June 30th. Let me clarify the date. June 30th is really the last day that you can apply for the payroll protection loan. That's when the program will end. The 8 weeks that they're looking for is from when the funds are dispersed to you when you're approved. And what they're targeting is once you get an allocation number and you're approved on SBA, that the money will be to you within 5 business days. And again, that's what I've read the latest is what SBA is targeting. They're allowing the banks to use their own loan documents. So that's kind of helping us out a little bit. So let me walk you through the process and I'll give you a perfect example. I have a customer sends me a complete package. I review the package. I get it into our inputting queue. We have a process where all of this information is funneled to a central location. It's then picked up by an individual, a bank employee, that then signs into the SBA system known as E-Tran, and then inputs the information from the application into E-Tran. SBA will then come back and say, yep, they qualified, they're approved, here's their allocation number. From that point, we'll notify the borrower they've gotten an allocation number, and then it moves on to the next step of getting the note created, getting that to you, and then getting the funds directly deposited into your commercial account. That's why the prerequisite was you had to have a commercial account or be a commercial customer of the bank that you're applying to so that we can expedite the process so it doesn't drag on for weeks once you get your allocation number. In theory, that's how it's supposed to work. We're hoping that that's what it will be. But again, I have to put a big word of caution out there. We're seeing volumes we've never seen before. We actually have taken employees who we're training on how to input information into the SBA system. So we're going through that process, and a lot of banks are. They're training multiple individuals, large groups to be able to help move this through the process. Go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to say now, because of getting more people involved with the process, is that making it so the money will be available to end users quicker, or is it just that everything's so overwhelmed that it's going to take a period of time before funds will be distributed?
It's going to take a period of time. We're just overwhelmed. SBA is overwhelmed. The banking industry is overwhelmed, and we're all working very hard. Let me share something with you. When a program like this is approved by the SBA, whether it's an express loan program, a normal 7A, or any type of lending program that gets out there, it often takes months for the bank to get up to speed, to create the documents, to create the policies and procedures. In our back office, how are we going to book the loan? How are we going to monitor the loan? How are we going to track the loan? How are we doing all the compliance pieces? So think of it this way here. We get a task force together. We go in a conference room. We're whiteboarding all the information. We're coming up with a flow chart model. We're developing the infrastructure. We're working with our core operating systems to make sure that we can get this into the system, assign account numbers. How is it all going to be inputted? How is loan servicing going to deal with it? What we're doing right now is we don't have that capability. 95% of our staff is working remotely off of a laptop.
Yeah.
So we're all trying to communicate by cell phone, relying on people's internet in their homes. So we're trying to ramp up 10 times faster than we would under normal conditions. So take this quick ramp up of 10 times faster, not being in the office, and then being inundated with the great amount of applications. This has been the most challenging project in my 30-year career in the banking industry. And I do have to say, my clients, the people I'm dealing with, are extremely supportive. They really, truly understand what we're trying to do for them. They're patient. A lot of them are saying, hey, I can get through the next 4 weeks with what I have in reserve. If I go beyond that, then it's going to get a little tight. So we're not hearing the panic in the voices. That's a real positive thing, that people are tapping into what they have in their reserves, and they know once they get approved, they'll be able to replenish those reserves and get to where they need to be. So
when do you think that then the people who are applying or have been accepted are going to start to see money from the SBA situations here?
From what I'm reading, from what I'm reading is hopefully by the end of the week, people who initially got into the system, and again, it's varying out there. You have some banks who have whole departments that are centered around SBA and have very good infrastructure built. When you get to some of the smaller community banks like the one I work for, we didn't do a lot of SBA lending, so we're trying to ramp up for it. So you're going to see varying aspects of it. I know people that have gone to a very large bank in Massachusetts who has done tremendous work with the SBA. They're the number one SBA lender, I think, in the nation.
Wow.
And they were able to ramp up quicker because they had the infrastructure built out. And so their clients are probably going to see it a little bit faster. I'm not going to name the bank because I don't want everybody rushing there. I want to have respect for those individuals.
Right.
But again, your local community bank, they're doing everything they can to get it in there. And the other community bankers that I talk to, we're all working hard. We're staying up late, having supper with our families, and then going back to the computers and doing what we can to try to get it through and get it in the process. So now that we've gotten through the initial onslaught, I actually saw the number of applications go down. Today, I only had 2 that were emailed to me as compared to the 50 I got on Friday. So I think the initial rush is through. We're going to get through that. Phase 2 starts with the independent contractors and the 1099s on Friday. So that'll be another wave that we'll start looking at. But at least we would have been able to get through this group and get people into the process. And banks, again, they're looking at how to streamline this. They're looking at infrastructure. They're looking at systems that we can flip a switch and get some additional support as we go through this process.
So let's talk about the 1099 waiver you're expecting on Friday, because there are some people out there who work for maybe 2 or 3 different DJ companies and are getting 1099s. They're out of work. Is this something that they might qualify for or should be checking into?
Yeah, they should check into it. I would talk to your local bank because every bank is going to be a little different. So certainly connect up with your bank, see what they're going to look for in information as you go through this process. I apologize to you, John, and to the audience out there. I just haven't had time. There are some new directives that came out today from the SBA about it. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and read through it. It was 33 pages. And I unfortunately wanted to get to my clients because those who submitted on Friday, today was the day of, Jerry, can you give me an update? So again, my email box was blowing up, and I wanted to rest assure those people, we're giving it 100% of our attention. And as soon as we hear you've been accepted, you'll get the congratulations from me. Here's your number, and here's when you can expect to get the money. So, but I will hopefully have some more information, and the SBA is going to be posting it out on their website. So I would tell you the best thing to do is go right to the SBA website. That's going to be your best source of information. Even if you call the banks, again, they're flooded with phone calls. They may not have caught up fast enough, but definitely SBA.gov for the payroll protection programs, and they'll actually give you all the details. So great place to look at it.
Jerry, you got a good question here from Mark on Facebook. Mark, thank you for being with us and with the question. Mark says he's got 2 different businesses that have 2 separate, they're completely separate businesses with 2 different tax ID numbers because they're separate LLCs. I was wondering, would they be able to apply for 2 disaster relief loans, or would it only be 1 for him as a person?
There is the affiliate rule in there. He can't apply it for both businesses. If they're 2 separate completely businesses and they don't interact and you have 2 separate tax returns, absolutely, you can apply for the disaster relief loan for each business.
Excellent.
So,
excellent.
Yeah.
Good question, Mark. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark.
One thing that I wanted to kind of just mention, because you talk to a lot of people during the day, and maybe because of the loan stuff, you're tied into that part of it. But I was having a conversation with a local manufacturing plant in central Minnesota. We have some manufacturing, construction are probably our 2 biggest. And he was talking about that he's a supplier for a larger manufacturing or a ATV dealer.
Okay.
Company.
Yeah.
The ATV company shut down. Now his business is completely shut down, and he's now has nothing for his employees to do and such. In his situation, if he's going to be applying for a loan and there's nothing for his employees to do, is he basically just going to be able to use that SBA financing to pay his employees to stay home?
Basically, yeah. If he wants to keep them on the payroll to keep their health insurance benefits,
that's
really do that. There's no tie to this program that these people have to be absolutely producing widgets. But let me take that a step further. There is a business. It's a hotel.
Yeah.
They applied for the loan. so that they can keep their housekeeping staff, and they're going through a full spring cleaning of the hotel. So they're taking advantage of this. There's another company that decided that I'm aware of that's doing the same thing, that said to the employees, okay, we're not going to turn on the machines because we don't have any orders, but now let's do some maintenance. Let's work on the equipment. A company that is a excavation company, their work kind of slowed down a little bit. So he's getting the guys to work on the trucks, go through the equipment. He says, hey, if I can get this money in, that I could keep the people on the payroll and now do things that were on my bucket list, my checklist for the company. Absolutely. I've even seen companies retooling in some of the things that they're doing. One of my clients is actually using some of his product to help make masks. He is in the furniture business. He's come up with a product for foam based out of recycled water bottles, and he's now using this foam product. He's having it tested and hopefully will be used in masks. And so he's kind of finding new ways. So he kind of took this as an opportunity, stopped what he's doing, is now concentrating on this. So we see people getting very creative out there. Yeah. We hear about companies retooling or, stopping and thinking about what they could do. A restaurateur that I have, he has several restaurants. He's actually using the staff to clean the restaurants, clean out the kitchen. And he said, we're getting ready for when we can reopen up our doors. He said, well, I'd rather pay these people through the payroll protection program, have them come in and paint and clean the chairs and vacuum the carpets. He said, at least they're doing something. They're out of the house. They can help out. And so that's some of the things that are happening. But yeah, if a company is applying for it just to keep people of income coming to the people, and that's what this program was designed, is so that you didn't have to lay off people. You can continue, and under the payroll protection program, you can include your 401k employer contributions. You can include your health benefits, what you're paying for your employees, was strategically put in so that you keep the payroll going. So
excellent. That was one of the questions I want to make sure we hit today. Well, okay, so Friday's going to be another day for the 1099 folks out there. Yep. Is there any other deadlines that you see coming up here in the next week before we get together that people should be aware of?
No, I think just now that we've got this process going, and again, look at the disaster reliefs. If you are really just looking to replace and get working capital, this is look at the different type loans, have a discussion with your CPA, look at your business model. I would tell you this is the time to sit down and figure out, where am I going to be? What's my budget? A lot of companies are doing that. For the DJ industry, okay, what's being deferred this year? What's being deferred next year? What do I want to spend income on? What I don't. This is a time to really and I've said numerous times in the industry, is you should have a budget. You should have a financial plan. Now is more than a time ever to really look at that and spend time doing it, John.
Yeah.
A lot of us, unfortunately, self-employed individuals fly by the seat of our pants, which is sometimes not the best. And those that did, this is the chance where they're now looking at it going, wow, I really did. I should have thought of this. I should have planned out better. Now's the chance to do that reflection. So hopefully a lot of people will be looking at that. So
let's take 2 minutes to talk about putting together. What is the first part of putting together a budget for those who have never done it before? Let's give them a little homework between this week and next week. What would they do to get started on putting together a budget?
Here's my theory. You work from the bottom up. Okay. Many people start at the top and work down, but work at the bottom and go backwards. Okay. What do I need to live on? What do I need to have in my bank? If I was able to bank all the money, okay, what is that dollar number? And then start going back from there. What's my fixed cost? What's it for insurance? What's it for, payroll? What's it for my car expenses? What's it for equipment, maintenance? Then you get into the top line and say, wow, in order for me to make $100,000, and then I have $100,000 worth of expenses, how much do I really need to make? Well, I need to make $200,000.
Right.
Well, if I'm charging $2,000 a gig, that means I've got to do 200 gigs this year to get to that top line number. Once you have that, then you start looking and go, realistically, can I do 200 gigs at $2,000 a piece? No, I may be at 100. So now what you need to do is then start coming back down the list. What am I not going to spend? Where can I cut costs? What's more realistic? And really, what's my bottom line? Where am I going to end up? So you start at the bottom, work up. Then when you get to what that realistic number is, kind of go down. I'll share a very funny story with you. I had people come in for a hair salon, and they were applying for a loan, and they said, okay, we're going to, we're going to make $75,000. And I asked them how you arrived at that. And we did from the bottom up. Well, when we got to the top, come to find out, based on what their average customer was going to spend, the two of them would be having to be cutting hair 7 days a week, 14 hours a day in order to hit that top line number.
Yep.
Okay. So those are kind of the exercises you need to go through as a business owner. Then you truly understand. I love it when DJs, I did 100 gigs this year. I did 150 gigs this year. And I go, well, what did you make? Well, I think I made 50,000. Well, that's great. You're doing 150 gigs. But if you turn around, you don't see Coca-Cola out there saying, we sold 500 million bottles of soda. No, you hear Coca-Cola saying, our net bottom line was we made $3 billion this year. Mm-hmm. Okay. They count on what you do. Looking at that bottom line is really where you want to be. And I think for a lot of people, it's not about the number of gigs. DJs, the testosterone kicks in about, I'm doing 200 gigs a year. Yeah. Great. But in December, you have to go work part-time at Christmas because you don't have the money to put Christmas gifts under the table. You're doing something wrong. Yeah. And so you need to think about that. So I'd love to hear when we get together, have DJs going through this exercise, and I'd love to get some feedback, and maybe we can get some people popping some questions. Did they go through this process? And more importantly, what did they find out about their business? Mm-hmm. And maybe they can ask us some questions like, what do I need to concentrate on? What should I look at cutting out? What should I look at doing going forward as I get through the rest of the year? We've gotten through this payroll. I like to let it just go through its course, but let's focus on now, once we get the order that says we can now leave our homes and we can start doing weddings again, and we can start going to the clubs, and we can do trivia, and we can do all that stuff. How do I make sure that I don't erode my income and I keep a roof over the head, food on the table, and clothes on my family? And
preparing. So in case this does rear its head again at some future date or something else like this, we're more prepared.
Exactly. And again, John, as I told you last week, that's what we're working on with the DJ Expo is lessons learned from COVID-19 is what we've kind of coined the phrase yet, but there's more to come on that.
Yeah, that it is. It's a story that's evolving each week. Jerry, thank you very much for your information and such. Looking forward to our times together to kind of get an update on the process. And again, if you guys have any questions for Jerry, you can reach out to Jerry on Facebook and such. You can find him there and then connect with him. He's a busy man, so he's makes time for the industry when he can, but obviously during the day he's doing a lot of loan stuff right now. Yeah. Crazy time.
Well, like I said, John, this is my passion is the DJ industry. I've been on the non-advisory board. I've done a lot of speaking at DJ Times, and it's great to just, run across these guys and say, you know what, Jerry, the information you gave me, helped me to be a better business person. That warms my heart, and I'm humbled by it. So yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you've done it. You've reached a lot of folks. I get to hear people tonight, tomorrow, the next day who listen and watch and really appreciate your time and effort. So thank you guys for being with us. We'll be back again next week with Jerry on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, where you guys can check out what's gone on in the past week. And tonight, in about a half hour, we'll be getting to our next show. We're going to be talking about that retainer. Is that retainer refundable? What should you do when they want to cancel that event? We'll talk about that at the top of the hour. Thanks again, Jerry.
Take care, guys. Be healthy. Be safe.